Joe Orth and I are starting a podcast. What should we call it?
Hey, don't pick on me. You know why? Because this is why. Let's see what he says.
The Joe Show?
Give Joe the business?
That's right.
Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe.
What is happening here?
Would you listen?
We'll give you a chance.
Thank you.
That's Joe.
That's Rooster.
And this is the Together We Shall podcast, episode 27. What's happening, bro?
Man, another day, another year, in 2023, man, I had to write that a lot earlier this week, probably like everyone else, but like for work, and I could not get it right. It was just like backspace, delete the 2, the 3, like that. I struggled with that. And it's crazy, like, to think, I think you sent in a thread that we have about like Y2K, and I'm just like, was that really a thing? No, it didn't pan out to be, but like, man, that was 23 years ago. If that makes me feel old, then like, obviously it's for you and our guest, just an extra level. But I'm like, God, man.
If I didn't know any better, I would feel like that was a dig already. Literally
Absolutely.
Under a minute into this, and you're throwing darts at ages of people older than you. And knowing that our guest can't talk right now because he hasn't been introduced, but anyway, I know it wasn't a dig. I got you. So what did you learn since the last time we gathered?
I'm not built for the trampoline park. Took the boys the other day, and my back is, I got a heating pad here. Like my back is, I don't know what I did. Like I jumped.
Well, I have a question. Like, how has the ice barrel been? Like, you're into this thing a month now, right? Like, where are you at in the ice barrel?
I love it. I've gone in everything from like 58 degrees down to 31, as we had that crazy cold front and then some ice in there. But it, obviously, the lower the temperature, the harder it is. But even at that like 58, like it's 58-degree water is not warm. I was doing it post workout. One, it was a nice way to like cool down, like after stretching, then jump in. But now I've shifted to like first thing in the morning. So like alarms going off, brushing my teeth, drinking some water, and I'm in. So, I mean, today it was about 12 minutes from the time alarm went off till I was in dark. There's not a lot of sounds out there. And like, I think that was the best experience of it yet. So I'm loving it. I entered into this challenge, social media challenge, like a bunch of potential fools, and we'll see.
The gig's up now. There's a challenge. It's a competition. Like you will, you will know undoubtedly you're going to commit and stay committed until you're the victor. Well, that's cool. I mean, I know a lot of folks have questions about that whole process, so I like to kind of keep them up to date on your ice barrel journey. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, episode 1, you go back, episode 1 of season 2, so episode 26. Joe talked about that a couple weeks ago. Anyway, we kind of teased the guest in episode 26. We kind of said, hey, this is who's coming. These are all his accolades. These are all the things that he's done. But like, I'd rather just bring him in here and jump right in. So, hey, Thomas, welcome.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We scheduled it late last year. We were like, let's get Thomas on here in 2023 to talk about, his journey, which is incredible, although his humility probably have him not say it's been incredible. So I'm kind of just, Thomas, why are you on the show? Why are you on the Together We Shall podcast? In your own opinion, thoughts, beliefs?
My own opinion. Wow. Okay. Talking about trying to be like a humble here, humble pie. I just, I've known you guys for a long time. It was over 10 years. I've been with the journey with Ancient Angels. And not only that, is that, I'm a disabled athlete and I push as well. I like to not only run myself, but to give back to other disabled athletes. And, the whole inclusion thing, I just like to be a part of it. We've been talking this for years, how much longer I have, and I'm going to be standing upright. One day that, I'm going to maybe be in a chair or be pushed. We talked about that before. Have someone push me other than Eric.
Yeah, we got to slow it down a little.
It's only Eric.
Yeah. So basically, I kind of know how it is to struggle with your body every day and to fight a disease, a crippling disease that I have, MS. So pretty much that's why I think I'm on this show.
Thomas, where are you coming to us from specifically? Don't just say Virginia. Like, give us the most detailed answer you want to.
Okay, so coming from Virginia Beach, Virginia, over by not far from the Virginia Beach courthouse.
Yeah, we know that area. In fact, the Ainsley's Angels of America P.O. box is at the post office near the courthouse. So I go there all the time, and it's usually on Tuesdays, and I usually see a man running fast, pushing a stroller of sorts. It's a little smaller than our Ainsley's Angels chariots. Tell us about that thing you push and what might or might not be inside of it.
Oh, so yeah, I push a Bob stroller. I think I'm on my third stroller in the last 8 years. So basically, now my daughter's a little older that she doesn't like being in there, and plus she's getting a little too heavy. I have 50 pounds, so it's about 40 pounds of sandbag and then weight. So I put a weight at the bottom to kind of level it off a little bit as well. And then I just keep it covered up so I don't get 100 questions about what's that in the stroller.
Yeah, what is that or what isn't that in the stroller? I saw you one time and I knew that there was no living thing inside the stroller, and it brought me back to some of my old training days when Ainsley was sleeping at 5 a.m. and I wasn't going to wake her up to go run 20-mile training run, so I'd weighted her chair down, and I couldn't find anything else in the garage, and I looked over and it was an old empty keg of Yingling that I put to her jogging stroller and thought it was a great idea. So then as the sun was coming up at 6:30 a.m. down Kempsville Road, there's me pushing a keg of beer inside Ainsley's chair, thinking nothing about the optics, just weighing it down. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we'll add it to the social thing, but I think this picture from one of those days is like, God, I got a lot of pictures, like one of my first ones. But I remember showing up for a run and like that keg was in that chair, and I was like, that's not real. Like we can't do that. And he's like, of course we can. Yeah, here he goes. And he puts a military glow strap on it. It's a black keg, and what's this? You can't be running like that.
For everybody who's listening, go to the Together We Shout Instagram page, which is Together We Shout Podcast.
That's pretty funny.
Maybe that picture will be on there. But this isn't about me, Thomas. Why do you run with a bob when you train?
Because my balance has gotten so bad in the last couple of years. The doctors were telling me that, I told them I was pushing my daughter and eventually she's going to go out, and they said, maybe you need to still hold on to the bob. Occasionally, when I have bad days, I usually still have to use a cane sometimes to walk around the house so I don't fall as well. So it's the same kind of thing, just something to kind of hold me up. When I run without it, I've tried to run without it. I still do Boston without it because I can't. They will not allow me to push the bob at Boston. So I have a guide, but they have to literally keep me up. I mean, Eric had to catch me a few times. Actually, he made me fall. He let me fall because he was cheering the crowd. And I fell right on my face. 2 people had to catch me and they yelled at him, "You're the worst guide I've ever seen." So, but things like that, well, I have to have somebody with me at all times. And we don't go fast, we go slow. There's no way of me being able to go fast running without the stroller anymore, because I would definitely fall on my face.
Can we go back? Because, I mean, like you said, 10 years, like when I first met you, like you were already diagnosed. Like, I don't know the diagnosed story, so I'm sure there's some listeners that don't either. Do you want to take us back to that?
Yeah. So 2008, I was working at the Pentagon. I was an aide for Secretary Gates at the time. I was starting to really not feel good. I was, I walked up and down those stairs every day up in the E-wing. I was in pretty decent shape. I didn't run a lot, but I kept in good shape. But I started getting really tired just going up and down the stairs, just doing my regular stuff. My hands weren't working too great. I had a seizure. Things weren't going, so I went to the doctors, and they like, yeah, we think you have MS. So I'm like, what the hell is that? And at first thing they said, well, so I went to Bethesda, and they said something about Persian Gulf syndrome because I was in the Persian Gulf. And then they're like, oh, well, no, we're not going to talk about that. We think you have MS. So it's just a whole bunch of, whatever. They don't know what was going on. They just know I had this neurological disease and everything. I have all the symptoms for it. And then they found a lesion as well in my brain. So I didn't know what to do. So they started giving me medication, all this stuff, and it just made me sicker. And I'm like, I don't want this junk in my body. I was really having a hard time at work. We were traveling a lot. Finally, I said, I'm done. I'm not taking meds anymore. I'm going to try to get back in better shape, go back to running again, maybe just lifting some more weights, just getting back in shape. And then at that point, that's when you guys know this gentleman, Jim Mattis, was down here at GIFCOM. Well, it was time for me to go. It was just too much stress at the Pentagon. So Mattis agreed to take me on. So I was his aide. That's how I got down here. And I was working for him. And then I just started getting in shape, running. And then running was making me feel better. And I just kept on pushing and pushing. I was having a lot of problems. I was in and out of hospital still. I had seizures, strokes, but I just continued. I didn't let that stop me. I just continued to do it. So I continue today to keep on pushing. So running has kept me upright. When I'm running away from the wheelchair. That's how I look at it. If I stop running and working out and keep it in good shape, I'm going to end up myself, to a place where I can't move. I haven't run this fast that I'm running now. I'm at 51 years old. I had MS for 14 years now. Than I was when I was in college, high school. So, I just ran a 16:59 5K Sunday.
We got it. Yeah, let's put that in a context for people that aren't doing math in public fast. Like that's like a 5:30,
5:28 pace.
Okay. So he's running a mile in 5 minutes and 28 seconds, and he's doing that consecutively for multiple miles. Wow.
I can't explain it why. There was one point between 2015 and 2017 that I was having strokes and seizures. I was getting so sick, I couldn't walk. There was, weeks that I couldn't even walk. I just got out of hospital, going through rehab. It's a bunch of stuff going on. And I was just having a rough time. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to be able to kind of run or even be like, of course, you have the competitive mind. Like I might not be competitive again or whatever. And you get in that mindset. And then I just continued to keep on grinding. I didn't give up. I grinded and grinded and grinded. And now I'm, at the point. And people are like, wow, the MS must be better, right? I'm like, no, it's actually worse. I have more lesions than I've ever had before. I have arthritis because of the nerve damage. The arthritis has taken over my body, my fingers, my feet, my elbows, all my bones now are starting to get it. My doctor says I have arthritis like an 85-year-old. So, and then I have brain spasms all the time. So things are not getting any better for me. It just seems like it because my running is getting better. It doesn't make any sense. But again, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm going to just continue doing what I'm doing and whatever. Day comes where I just can't, I just can't continue on the path that I'm continuing on. Then that happens, but I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, man. We talk about movement matters all the time, and this is the resiliency of the mind and the ability to do mind over matter. Like you just described that in a great real life example. Like you just keep moving forward and you keep going and you keep letting that be your medicine. That's pretty special example, and I appreciate the example that you're providing for us. So do people call you an inspiration, say, man, Thomas, you're inspirational, and I know they do say that, but like how do you respond to that part of it?
Well, I don't, I look at people that are inspirational in my life, and then when people call me inspirational, I kind of like, I guess I can see that. I don't want to take me like I'm this special person, because to me, I'm really not doing anything special. I'm really trying to just stay alive, basically, stay healthy, stay alive for my family. And I'm running is an avenue of doing it, something I like, and I'm getting success in it. That's great, but I don't see myself. If it inspires people, I'm great. I hope it does, because everyone needs to be inspired. I mean, people take steps and change their lives because they're inspired by someone else. So that's a great thing to be inspired. But I don't look at myself as an inspiration. But people say that to me, and if I inspire someone, they go, you got me out the door. I have no excuse because of you, so I'm going to go out and do this, and that's great. I feel good that some way that what I'm doing is helping others. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and that's great. That's that like inspire, be inspired circle. I mean, like I said, I can definitely say within the last 10 years, like there's been days where like I've just been in the workout slumps. Then you pop up on social with something, and I'm like, damn, all right, I need to get after it again. Like stop kind of sulking and being hungover or whatever, and kind of suck it up and get going. And that back to that movement matters, because once that is, and I'm not running those 16-minute 5Ks, but if I ran a 24-minute 5K, like I felt better. And it's just like it goes back to how important for your mental well-being movement is. Because I know too, for a while, like you weren't necessarily running as much, or you got like recently back into like lifting a little bit more.
Yeah, I got into strength training about a year and a half ago, and it's been a big, big difference. Keeping me stronger. I mean, the running keeps me stronger, but actually trying to strengthen up the muscles that are being eaten away by the nerve damage from the MS. It's kind of been helping. The whole thing is, I look at it as things start breaking down, my body's breaking down. But if I can fight it and try to make what I have stronger, then it's going to take it a lot longer for it to break down. So that's why, I'll lift and do running. Again, the more you fight, I think, like anything, the more you add to something, the harder it's going to be to break it down. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to add as much as what I can. The MS is not going to be stopped. I mean, there's no stopping it. It's it's a disease that eats your body. There's no cure to it. There's nothing. But I'm going to do everything possible to kind of stop it as long as possible. And I've done pretty good so far. 14 years. I mean, I'm definitely not where the doctors told me I was going to be at this point.
And that's pretty awesome for us to witness from afar. And we asked you earlier why you're on the Together We Shall podcast. Well, it's frankly because we like to spotlight people and stories that just represent this internal drive and teamwork. Because I'm sure that I'd love to jump into this. Like, while it sounds like Thomas has found a way to overcome and persevere and have resilience, like you have surrounded yourself with a tight circle that has facilitated this journey. Would love to hear about them and kind of how they've shown up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a good group of people. I mean, I first started with Hampton Roads Runners years ago when I first started running. Got good friends out of that. Eric, Talent, just group of guys and some others, just a group of guys that have also always trained with me, backed me up. The guy who coaches me now, Rob Hunter, he's been around with me for a long time. Just a group that kind of, when I'm down, they pull me up. I mean, there was times on the runs back in the day where I would actually literally, when get done with a run, I would just have such a bad spasm, and those guys would get ice for me, help me out, do what needs to be done. Many of those guys have been in the hospital with me. As soon as I go to the hospital, they're there with me all the time. They're helping my family out, helping me out. So it's just nice to have that group of people to support you. And I mean, I have support from the whole running community. For years and years, I've always had support. People have, visited me in the hospital or when I'm home not feeling good, come to visit, ask if they can do anything for us and stuff like that. So it's just a great running community here and great group of people, and it's nice to have. So it helps me out a lot to do. That's why I do what I do now with the Striders, because the running community has done so much for me over the years. It's kind of a way for me to give back to that.
So let's not let you get away with, this humble pie thing, bro. Look, you're just, the work I do with the Striders. I mean, come on, Thomas. So what is this work you do with the Striders? Who are the Striders? And maybe even tell us about some recent recognition by the National Striders.
Yeah, so Tidewater Striders is one of the largest run clubs in the United States, and we're the largest in Virginia. We have over 2,200 members right now. They've been around for 50 years, and I just happened to take over president right when COVID hit. And when everyone shut down racing, I said, well, there's people out here that want to race, we're going to race. So I just took it, I put the races right at where we needed to be at 250. I did everything that the guidelines were supposed to be, and we put on races. And we put on half marathons and marathons. We had people qualify for Boston that couldn't go anywhere to qualify, where people come from all over the country to come to our race because they couldn't find the race. So we put on 20 events during COVID, the most in the country. So from that, we built the club, embraced the community a lot, because we give back to the community. We're a nonprofit. We just give right back. We don't, anything that comes in goes right back out. We give out $35,000 worth of scholarships every year to our youth. So I love doing that. And then last year, the RCA, the Road Runners Club of America, voted me as president of the year. So that was a pretty cool honor. They flew me down to Florida, gave me my award. That morning, the next day, I had to fly back because I had to run Shamrock. So I had to leave a little early. But yeah, it's just, I race direct majority of our races. I put a lot of time and energy into the Striders. So, and it's great, people saying, love the way the Striders are doing all that. And we've got a great board right now, a great team of people helping out. And then, of course, I still have some of the older people around that have been guiding me in ways, which is great. So it's just a great organization.
Pat on the back to you. Like you said, like, we're going to do it. People needed exercise, and they needed community, and they needed something to look forward to during those, however many months, weeks, years, it was of lockdowns and such, right? So like the fact that you were doing them and doing them safely and getting people out there, man, like that's the impact that you had on that organization, that community is huge. Like they needed that, and you provided them that opportunity. So kudos for that.
Being a runner yourself, you want to be out there doing stuff. And then I went by the guidelines. I mean, I had a lot of pushback from cities, from all this, but they put out guidelines. I said, if we're doing it the way you want us to do it, there's no reason why we can't do it. I just didn't take no for an answer. Just didn't take no for an answer. So, and I fought, and we got it. And once they seen us doing it and we're doing it the right way, they're like, okay, these guys are doing it right. Okay, we're going to continue to support them and stuff like that. So it was really, really awesome. But it was not easy at all. But we did a lot of great things during COVID. We did fundraisers. We helped local businesses out, restaurants. We would do races, raise money for the restaurant, give the money to the restaurant, and the restaurant would use that to feed our nurses and doctors at the local hospitals. So, I mean, we did a lot of great things. So with the running during COVID, we want to help everybody out, which we did. So it worked out really good.
And it continues to work out today. I mean, you have a nice schedule of races for 2023. I know our Ainsley's Angels and Hampton Roads ambassador, Emily, has been so grateful for the relationship that you two have formed, and the way that Tidewater and your races that you host and things have shown up for us, the way that you've embraced our riders. I mean, goodness, you ran on our Marine Corps Marathon charity team a couple months ago. I want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, that was great because I wanted to do that for a while. I just never felt in my, with my schedule and times, I wasn't feeling right to run a marathon. I signed up to do it last year, but, of course it didn't happen. So I came on board this year. And then I got to push my buddy Hannah that, I've known for a little bit. But we had some good training runs together, me and Hannah, and we went out there, and what a great experience. You guys put on a really great event. It's just great to see all the families and everybody from across the country. I actually got to sit with athletes and riders from Texas, Houston area. It was great for the dinner. And then the race was awesome. I never run that race before. It's hard to run it the first time pushing. I didn't know mile 2 was going to be so hard going up. About 18, 19, I got tired with the hills wore me out. And I told Hannah, I said, I think we're going to be pushing it for a Boston qualifier now. I mean, we had it in the bag, but in 18, 19, I was kind of struggling. It wasn't more MS stuff. It was more, I think, MS stuff, but I was just getting really tight. I wasn't feeling that great. So I said, well, let's hang on. She just kept on, talking to me and, keeping me focused and keeping my mind off, some of the spasms I was having and stuff. And then we got up that last hill and I think we qualified by 6 minutes. So qualified as a duo team for 2024. So I'm like, I don't know, we're going to be pushing this. She goes, oh, we're going to make it. I said, okay.
Because, Hannah has run Boston. Her and Emmanuel ran it. You probably saw them up there.
The adaptive athletes, we have our own area. They put us in the church. So we're all together. So, yeah, I was hanging out with them before, because we're there for like 4 hours. They get us so early. I know Emmanuel really good. I'm good friends with him. So, it was qualified in 2024. And, hoping that Emmanuel can get her sister qualified so we can kind of both get up there together next year. It'd be pretty cool to have both sisters.
We're tracking and watching from afar, and actually not too far. We're really close, but it's so neat to see this whole idea transpiring before us of Hannah and Emmanuel run Boston. You've run it for years. We all know that the duo getting into Boston via duo is quite the process, and they're very restrictive and very limited on the number of duos. And then to be in a position where, like you just articulated, just to make it clear to the listeners, Hannah has a sister named Cassidy, and both of them are athlete riders with Ainsley's Angels. And with Thomas and Hannah qualifying, Emmanuel now has intentions working with Cassidy for her to qualify, and you could have the 4 of them towing the line at Boston. I mean, that's just cool to think about.
That is awesome. And when we first kind of talked about that, we're like, wow, that would be really awesome. Just a really, really cool thing. And it brings it all out. And people ask the questions, wow, that is so neat that 2 sisters can go ahead and do Boston together. Hopefully it all works out. I have faith. Huh?
Yeah, and so the 2 sisters is neat, but then to add a little cherry on top, and you got 2 sailors both pushing them. So it's like there's like another tidbit that gets worked in.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then of course, me and Hannah, we're both disabled athletes too. So that was the cool thing, that we both qualified and we're both adaptive athletes, because I'm adaptive and she's adaptive. So it's just that's a cool thing to throw in there.
We get a lot of questions all the time about how do you qualify for Boston, what are the rules, and how does it all work? I mean, in essence, every person has a right to try to qualify for Boston, and the way that you do it is you run in your age group based on I believe your gender and your age, and there's a timing, and then you either meet the timing or you don't meet the timing, and then they go through a whole process of selection. In the case of adaptive athletes, we have legally blind runners, we have runners with MS, we have runners in wheelchairs. There's a lot of different options out there, and every category is kind of different. For the sake of Thomas and Hannah, what is the requirement for you two to qualify for Boston?
Well, because of my age, I have 3:25 to qualify, and we ran a 3:19, so we qualified by 6 minutes.
Now, there are some other athletes. I know Michael Davis pushed Ashton at the Boston. Michael's legally blind. His requirement was based more on his vision, and he had to qualify pushing 5 hours or faster. And I believe he did that at none other than Shamrock, right?
Yeah, but they do not do that anymore. Boston cut down the adaptive. So like me, for MS, it's 6 hours, right? So I mean, for 6 hours, I can run a 3:19 marathon. Me and Hannah can go eat dinner, take a break, have a snack, and go back on the course, right? So But yeah, they don't allow that. You can't run your adaptive time. You have to run your age group time. They just, you just talked about how strict they got on how they're doing it. And that's what they're doing now. They're like, well, if you want to qualify together, then you have to qualify your normal time. So, and that's what I take anyway. I always take my I try not to, I try to qualify. I'm always in my age. I don't want to, take that MS time, but,
thanks for clarifying that, because there's so many questions about the process, and every year it's different. And so if you're listening to this and you've got ambitions and desires to toe the line at Boston as a duo team, just do your research, go to the BAA website and read all about it. You alluded to something that interesting earlier about the whole idea of potentially, I don't know, becoming a rider, and kind of hesitant to even go into this space, but I have a lot of questions about it. Like, you're open to doing that?
Yeah, well, there was a time where I actually was. Yeah, I thought I was at that time. Back in 2015. I had a really bad stroke, and I couldn't. They didn't know my whole left side of the body did not work. I couldn't walk, and my legs. I couldn't walk for weeks and weeks. And then Eric, they did a fundraiser for me for MS, because we were supposed to do Boston that April. So we already had a fundraiser set up for it. And then Eric actually got a chair to push me in that day. He was going to push me in it. It was kind of because I couldn't walk. I just couldn't. So I came to the event. When I came to the event, I was so sick. I was throwing up. I wasn't feeling good. This is like 2 days after I got out of the hospital. There's no way I was getting in that chair. I was having a hard time, and I literally had to go home. So that would have been my first experience actually getting pushed. So I was actually at that point of, being pushed. And, we talked about this before that, supposedly by now, way years ago, I should have been not being able to run using a wheelchair or using a walker of some kind. So the possibility of that happening, again, I'm fighting as much as I possibly can, but I know where my body's going. That possibly, has to go. I would still love to continue being in the races. And you don't want to shut that off. For me to still be a part of the race, I joke around, I don't want Eric pushing me, because it goes so slow, but to be able to still be in an event, to be a part of it, running has given me so much, and I love it. And I love the atmosphere of the races, and that's why I can understand what the rider athletes are going through, like the thrill of being part of something so great. And that's what I would love to continue doing, that if I can't do it on my own anymore. I would love to continue being on that part as well. So
shit, cheers to that. Yeah,
that's perspective, Joe, isn't it though? Because a lot of folks are like, man, I'm not getting in that chair. Like a lot of athletes, I'm talking about solo athletes. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, that's a great. So Kim, right?
Stemple. Yeah.
Right. So an athlete, a renowned runner, just like Thomas, and just terrible disease started chipping away at her, and she finally said, you know what, I still want to be at races. I still want to see my friends. So yeah, let's get in the chair. And through Jim, they've raised a bunch of money for the organization, and wheels with her name are rolling across the country in her honor. So yeah, it's that change, right? Everyone's hesitant on change and scared of it for sure, but sometimes it is inevitable, right? So yeah, if you want this,
nothing you can do about it, right? What can you do about it? I lost my vision in my left eye 4 years ago. I'm losing vision in my right eye. So any day I can be a blind runner. Who knows? Doctors don't know any day. Nerve damage is as bad in my right eye as it was in my left eye. So again, I'm going to have to, who knows where that's going to go, right? How am I going to, I can't just go out and run by myself, pushing a stroller, not being able to see at all, right? So that whole aspect is, I have all this in the back of my mind. So I'm trying to get ready for all of it. It's hard. It's depressing. It's very depressing when you think about it, because you're like, okay, I might never see again at all. Like blind, like, just not, being in darkness, and that darkness kind of scares everyone. Should scare everyone to be just being in darkness like that. And then now, okay, not only your darkness, but now your body's falling apart too. So at least now I can see, I can kind of, it feels like I have control. My worry is when I go blind, I kind of lose that control, like take care of myself. Where is that going to go? So yeah, you have to look at all your options, where you're going to go from here and there and how you're going to continue doing. I mean, hey, a lot of great blind runners are running 230s at Boston, 235, right? I mean, there's still, you can, it's your vision, not your legs, but someone that's already like me that has to hold on to something, stay balanced. These days, I just keep it going. It's like something else comes at me, and I just have to keep focused. And eventually, my legs don't work anymore. I still want to be a part of the community.
And at its core, that's it, man. We do what we do so everyone can be included, and that's our why. That's why we do it. And sometimes when you know what the why is, the how becomes so much more navigable, and you can figure that out. And with you, it's this whole idea of like you are surviving, and your why is rooted in not only your community but with your wife and your children, and you found your meaning, and you continue to drive through that. And the how just kind of seems like you can figure that out along the way with why at the forefront.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you can do, man. All you can do is just move, what you have in front of you and just deal with what you have. Just keep moving forward. I mean, what else do you have, right? You have to just, everyone's dealt with different set of cards in life, right? You can't control what happens. You just can kind of control what you have that you can control, but there's other things you can't control. So you can only control the things that you can. And for me, it's just trying to keep myself healthy. I can't control the sickness beating me up. I mean, I try, I fight it, but if, like I said, it takes my legs, it takes my arms. Just what can I do? I mean, I did everything. I can honestly say that I have done everything I possibly can to fight this thing. And that's what I wanted to do. I don't want to be one of those people that say, I'm sick, I'm going to sit on the couch, smoke cigarettes, eat donuts, not work out, not stay in shape, and just let this thing eat me up alive and, make excuses of it. So that's not what I ever wanted to do. So I do want to be that person that says, hey, I'm in the position I'm in now, but I fought to the, tooth and nail to be where I'm at today.
Yeah, I mean, that's so, again, I mean, they've said it right, admirable. Because I mean, like, you can't control every action that we're going to face in life, but you can control your reaction. So that's like, it's taken me a long time to learn to hear that, and still every day, like anyone, working on my reactions. Just take it one step at a time, and you'll get through it. It's not going to be easy sometimes, but just keep moving forward.
And when in doubt, you can just hold up a Miller Lite sign and say it's Miller time on the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how we got this far into the show, but it's Miller time. It's that time where you grab your favorite beverage, whatever it is, water, Celsius, Miller Lite. If you're tube fed, look at your caregiver right now, or just turn your machine on, Josh. Come on. What are you drinking, Thomas? You got anything over there that you're sipping on?
I got my favorite, and everybody knows, orange Gatorade. That's what that's my go-to. I've been drinking orange Gatorade forever. It's my favorite.
Isn't the color for MS orange?
Yes, orange. So yeah, that's the thing. Orange Gatorade, MS, it all works in together.
What happened first, your love for orange Gatorade or the MS?
Orange Gatorade. I think I've always liked orange Gatorade. It's always been my favorite.
No, that's cool. That's cool, man. This has been a fun chat. There's this thing we added. It's a segment to the show that we've added recently, which is called Tales from the Course. And in episode 26, we debuted our first one. And if you haven't had a chance to hear it, it took us all back as we read that one. But this week, I have our Tales from the Course that I'm going to read out loud, and we'll do this while Thomas enjoys his orange Gatorade and Joe grabs a second refill on whatever he's got. Joe, what do you got going on there?
Yeah, man, I have a Gatorade as well. My favorite color is lemon lime, but I don't think they make a zero in lemon lime. So I got, what is it? I don't even know what flavor. Blue, but the zero sugar Gatorade. But the main reason I'm drinking this is one similarity between Thomas and I. We are both Notre Dame fans, and Notre Dame recently won the Gator Bowl.
Oh yeah.
That's why I am drinking Gatorade today.
So y'all enjoy your Gatorade, born at the University of Florida, the Florida Gators there. Whole story. They're also not a sponsor
yet.
Well done. All right. So our ambassador in Central Wisconsin, our ambassador in Central Kansas. Yes, I'm gonna do that again. Our ambassador in Kansas. Oh God, what is happening? Our ambassador. So okay. So y'all enjoy your Gatorade. I'm literally imploding right now.
Don't edit any of that.
Okay, I won't. Hey, Craig in Kansas, a flyover state, also known as Ainsley's Angels in Central Kansas, formerly known as Ainsley's Angels in Wichita. He's in charge of going out there and getting our tells from the course. So for episode 27, I'm going to just read it because that's how we're doing it. This is the story about how one young man lived the dream and scored not one, but 3 ladies' phone numbers by using the universal language of love, twerking. I don't know where this is going, y'all. That's the opening sentence to this thing. I mean, come on, Craig. Okay, this is a family show, kind of. Here we go. Okay. The 9th annual Sunset 5K in Lake Charles, Louisiana had a start time of 7:45 p.m. with over 100 Angel teams racing. Among them were 2 first-time Sunset Angel Rider participants from north central Indiana, a young man named Camden and his grandmother. But the celebration did not end at the finish line. The party continued at the post-race festivities, music and food, dance floor. Camden was having a great time. He loves to dance. During the post-race dance party, he worked his way through the crowd to the front of the dance floor and was soon recruited to come on the stage and help toss prizes into the crowd. Camden began to show off his dance moves for the crowd. He showed his b-boying and his locking and his popping and the funk and the up rock and the boogaloo moves. Between songs, he noticed there were 3 young ladies on the stage with him, also moving to the beat. When the next song started, the 4 of them worked together, tossing prizes, cutting a rug. And that's when Camden brought out the big guns, the twerk, much to his grandmother's dismay. As the evening wore on, the young ladies were preparing to leave. Camden knew it was time to make his move and get some digits. Now, according to North Central Indiana Ambassador Christy High, Camden can be a little hard to understand when communicating verbally. The booming bass from the speakers did not help this cause, and that's when he went to the universal sign for phone by holding his thumb up to his ear and his pinky to his chin, and he went all in. Camden reached the peak of glory most young men never even get a glimpse of. He exchanged numbers with all 3 that they spoke the next day on Camden's trip back to Indiana. This story is concluded here, but for context, Camden's one of our athlete riders. And basically, he was put in an environment where he felt like he fully belonged. So much that he had the confidence to ask ladies for their phone numbers and then stays in touch with them as friends today. And that's the environment, the atmosphere that we just love to create everywhere we go. And I think that's that same environment that Thomas is talking about, that no matter how he's showing up to race day, he wants to go to a place where he just feels like everyone knows his name, that you use a cheers, he just belongs there. And this story kind of reinforces that. So a little bit different from last episodes, but props, Camden.
And yeah, that's like, I think we've said it in many episodes, like the running's just a fraction of it, right? Especially if it's a destination event, but it's the pre and post race festivities, right? The beer, the pizza, the dancing, I guess the twerking. And so Christy and Camden's grandmother or Christine, someone, like, I need to see a video of this. So if you can email podcast that a video of Camden twerking just for my understanding, that would be great. But yeah, I mean, like, genuinely, like, we have more fun afterwards, and that's the mingling and meeting new people, and pizza and beer never hurt anything, right? So that's one thing that, like, I know I missed during COVID, when there wasn't that, or you could run a race, which was great, but then that was the end of it. So I'm glad, and like Thomas mentioned, like 228 people at a dinner the night before a race, like, that's awesome. you had that camaraderie, sense of familyness. That's what it's all about. That's why the running community is so special.
That's great. The running community is awesome. So, we have to talk about a story, right? Not everyone knows that we locally know about a time that I pushed and I thought I was having a heart attack and I was going to go to the hospital, but come to find out I had the brake on the whole time.
The one time when I beat you in a race, I do, yeah. There didn't add or Holden. There's like Eric. Someone made a drawing of this.
Oh yeah, Eric made a drawing, I think, and sent it to Ashton's mom and Jennifer, and she posted it everywhere. It was pretty funny. I ran a whole 5K with the brake on, pushing Ashton. Ashton's, that's a hard push as it is, and then you're putting the brake on it. I literally thought I was dying. I thought Eric seen me. He's like, "Dude, you're all right." I said, "Dude, you're gonna take me to the hospital when I finish this race because something's wrong. I just can't." Terry Coop flies by me, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" I get done. Jennifer goes, "You had the brake on the whole time." I said, "No, but I do feel better that I'm not dying."
I think all good, pushers have done that at some point. Maybe not for the whole race, but I've definitely been out the chute or like, what's going on here? Or a little bit later, like, son of a, yeah, that's definitely. But yeah, I remember finishing the one on Camp Pendleton, and was like, what? How did I, win this? And then come to find out only because you had the brake on. But in the end, I still beat Thomas. So
yeah, you
counts.
Beat me. There's
a win's a win.
A lot of people beat me that day. Like, wow, I beat Thomas. I'm like, I beat myself too. But it was that's why at Marine Corps this year, Hannah was like, "Oh, there's a brake. You can put the brake on if you want." I'm like, nope, that brake's not going on.
But speaking of Marine Corps, now that we're in 2023, new calendar year, if you or anyone out there listening, watching wants to participate either as a runner or rider on our 2023 charity team, just email me, Joe at Ainsley'sAngels.org, and I will add you to the list. Don't delay. Spots will go fast. Hope to see as many of you in October.
When Joe says they go fast, like if you're hearing this and you even think that you may possibly want to toe the line October of 23, then stop what you're doing, hit pause, and type Joe at Ainsley'sAngels.org and say, me, I'm in. So, yeah. And then we don't know if Thomas is going to be there. Maybe he will.
Yeah, I'm going to check. Let me check my schedule. I mean, I have to see, if I have anything, but I might not. We'll see. It was a great experience. I really loved being part of the whole thing with Angels, and just being a part of that whole weekend is just amazing. Especially that being my first Marine Corps, and living in DC for so many years and watching it from afar when I was stationed at the Pentagon. But it was just a great experience.
So, I mean, you mentioned living in D.C. Like, are you still in touch from time to time with Secretary Gates or General Mattis?
Yes, General Mattis, I still once in a while get a hold of, and of course, yes, Gates as well. Of course, Rumsfeld passed away over a year ago. I worked for him. He was my first boss at the Pentagon. I think the last time I talked to him was about maybe 9 months, 10 months before he passed. So, I still have, I can still reach out and ask them some questions and stuff like that. They keep tabs on you when all their personal stuff. They like to keep tabs on what you're doing. Is this guy crazy yet? Want to make sure he doesn't write a book about me.
Speaking of writing a book, I mean, do you have any intentions of writing a book? I mean, your story is one that is definitely one for the pages.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I'm not the best writer in the world, kind of putting things down on paper. I was at one time, but with the MS, I can't concentrate as good and get things down. So I do have contracts with these guys for years and years that I can't, mention any personal stuff. I had to sign all these, not only military documents, but I had personal lawyers. Yeah, you can't talk about this person. You can't talk about what you've seen and all that stuff. So, I mean, with my, just the things I've done is, I could probably write a good book. But, I could mention maybe a couple of things here and there that won't get me in trouble.
It was just curious more than anything. Having served my time in uniform, especially my time in the intelligence community, and then my undergrad and grad experiences were up at DIA, Bowling Air Force Base, around all the same time. And I remember the thing for Rumsfeld that stands out for me is when he was doing a Pentagon press briefing, and they said, "So, Mr. Secretary, what is the Pentagon's stance on Umpty Frats?" And without missing a beat, Secretary Rumsfeld said, "Well, first, the Pentagon is a building and doesn't have thoughts on Umpty Frats." I was like, yes, I love this guy. Yeah, so Rumsfeld.
He was something else, man. I can just tell you, he was something else. Man, what a guy that was, man. He was a Navy pilot back in the 40s, 50s, and he was Ford's chief of staff. He was Secretary of Defense in the 70s. So that guy, I mean, you want to talk about old school politics and been around a long time. That guy definitely knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I read a lot of Henry Kissinger's writings, and he talks about young Rumsfeld at the time. So yeah, definitely, like you said, quite the
Those
guy.
two were buddies. Kissinger used to come visit him all the time. They were always chatting.
Yeah, and so for you to have been an aide during that time, like you're telling me that there potentially were times where you saw the two of them having conversations within your ear's reach.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've said, here's a funny story. Here's just a really cool story. I go to work early, get everything all set up and stuff like that. And someone's sitting at my desk reading a newspaper, right? I'm like, who the hell is this guy 5:30 in the morning sitting reading a newspaper? The newspaper dropped. I said, "Excuse me, sir, you're at my desk, and it's Newt Gingrich." And I'm sitting at my desk reading the newspaper. He's scheduled to have breakfast with Rumsfeld that morning. So I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I didn't know that was you. Do whatever you want." I just walked out. Yeah. It was always a lot of stuff like that. It's really cool stuff that you would never, imagine that, one day you walk in your office and you got the speaker, the ex-speaker of the House sitting in your desk reading your newspaper. I enjoyed my experience because I got to do and see things that I probably never get to hear. There's some things you probably want to forget that you heard and you're told to forget. You have to forget, but yeah. It was a very great experience. But Mattis is another one. He's just an unbelievable guy. He's told one time, he goes, "I love my staff so much, maybe we should go invade a small country because you guys are just so great." Things like that. He would just say, just joking around. But being with those guys and being had opportunity to be around such great leadership, they were just like Mattis. I'm telling you, Mattis is probably one of the best people I've ever met in my life. I mean, he really does care about people, like really cares. So, especially a guy that all he ever did was all about the Marine Corps and his country. I mean, he was never married. He's married now. He got married a few months ago, I think. So it went all these years that he was married to the Marine Corps. He was married to the country. He gave everything to his country, and he just loved the country. He loved his people that he worked with. He loved his Marines. It's just a great guy to be around. So I was very, very, very blessed that I got to be around a person like that.
To be an aide for the Secretary of Defense, two of them, and then of course for Mattis to take you with him to Joint Forces Command, like you kind of have to be pretty good at what you do, Thomas.
I mean, it's more not just what you can do. It's you have to be able to have a relationship with these guys, right? And it's what they feel comfortable with. And I just was lucky that they were comfortable with me. I mean, they trusted me enough, and they were very comfortable, and they trusted me. And I did do my job because, again, just like how I lead the Striders, just how I do what I'm doing now. I just put everything that I have, what I'm doing. So, I'm going to give you 110%. And they knew that, they understood that, and they trusted me. And I didn't want to screw up, and because I was threatened a few times that I would be sent to Iraq if I screwed up. so I'm so happy that I had the opportunity over the years to work for those guys. So
yeah, for sure, man. Those are definitely experiences of a lifetime.
I'd like to say thank you again for taking time out of your day to join us. We've enjoyed the dance. Thank you for your vulnerability and your clarity and just sharing, your journey and your why and how you continue to wake up every day.
I love what you guys have been doing all these years. I mean, it's just amazing. I love, I love Angels. I love the whole, what you guys do for the running community, not just here locally, but, across the country. And I love being a part of it. Again, I felt so special being a part of it at the Marine Corps.
We had this thing we did in the first season, which was all about kind of closing out with like, what's your weekly word for the week? And so I'll ask you, Thomas, like as we enter 2023 here with, 50 weeks to go, what words are on your mind as we navigate the calendar ahead?
What's always on my mind, the words that I always think of all the time, it's always graded in my head because of what I have to deal with, is don't give up. That's just, it's always on my mind, is not to give up. And that's the word I'll use all the time. So, and hopefully that's a good word to always have in your dictionary, because we all go through something, nobody has a perfect thing going on. There's always something, right? So just don't give. That's why I always say don't give up.
You know what? I got enough.
He's in charge.
We're done. This was good.
Yeah, we're done here. The structure of this building has reached its capacity.
Find your people, and if they make you feel sexy, even better.